Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
We are the Breakfast Club. Good morning. Let's get in some front page news. All right. Good morning, Morgan.
Good morning, Envy, Charlamagne, and Jess. Yes,
Peace,
we're dealing
Morgan.
with breaking news out of Washington, D.C., or the Washington, D.C. area, or as we call it here, the DMV. American Eagle Flight 5342 was making its final descent into Reagan Washington National Airport when it collided with a Sikorsky H-60 Black Hawk helicopter around 8:30 p.m. last night. 64 souls were on board the flight, including a crew of 4, and there were 3 souls aboard the Black Hawk helicopter. Now, reports say the plane broke into 2 pieces and dropped into about 7 feet of water into the Potomac River, while the helicopter was upside down in the water. Of course, search and rescue efforts continued throughout the night. Let's take a listen to air traffic control when the incident occurred.
American 472, Arkansas, 1 star, 32017. Did you see that? Delta 832, sorry. I don't know if you caught earlier what happened, but there was a collision on the approach into 33. We're going to be shutting down operations for the indefinite future if you want to go back to the gate.
Yeah, we witnessed the whole thing. You need the information from us.
Fire Command. The accident happened in the river. Both the helicopter and the plane crashed in the river. It's east of the approach end of runway 33. It was a CRJ and a helicopter that hit.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that flight was inbound from Wichita, Kansas, when the accident occurred. And it says that U.S. figure skaters, a group of U.S. athletes and coaches were aboard that flight. We don't have too much information about the victims or their status or their condition at this moment, but that's pretty much what we have in terms of who was aboard that flight.
And did you say 7 feet of water, Morgan?
Mm-hmm. Yes, 7 feet of water. And also keep in mind that the conditions were extremely icy. It was dark out there and very cold. So the search and rescue missions were, they were dealing with some pretty choppy conditions. D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser led a press conference last night with Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy, who has only been on the job less than 2 days as he's dealing with this situation. Officials joined them, and first responders from the surrounding area in the DMV and Kansas also joined them where the flight was coming in from. So let's take a listen to some of those comments from D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser and Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy.
Our fire department, DC Fire and EMS, supported by fire departments and police departments from across the Washington metropolitan region, are executing a rescue operation in the Potomac River.
I spoke with President Trump and his team in the Situation Room. I had a conversation with Secretary Pete Hegseth as well, and then with the Kansas delegation and the mayor and others in leadership, as well as Governor Youngkin from Virginia and Governor Kelly from Kansas. From the Department of Transportation and FAA's perspective, we are going to offer full support to those on the ground, to the mayor, but also to the NTSB.
Prayers up for every single soul that was on that flight. I don't care what their race was, their gender, their sexuality, political party. 18 bodies were recovered so far. May God be pleased with all of them.
Yes, absolutely. So the NTSB, of course, stands for the National Transportation Safety Board. Authorities in Kansas say they're devastated by the news. Of course, remember that is where the flight came from. Senator Jerry Moran joined the presser in D.C. and spoke about the personal impacts that this will have for people from Kansas. Let's hear more from him.
It is certainly true that in Kansas and in Wichita in particular, we're going to know people who are on this flight, know their family members, know somebody. So this is a very personal circumstance. And I've talked to NTSB, I've talked to the White House, I've talked to the Department of Defense, and I've talked to the CEO of American Airlines, and there is all of us pulling together for the best outcome possible.
That's so sad.
I doubt they know how this happened yet, right, Morgan?
No, they do not as of right now. There was some air traffic control back and forth a little bit that they were talking about, basically saying that maybe the Black Hawk helicopter pilots or those who are in the helicopter, when they ask, hey, do you see that plane? There was someone on air traffic control asking, do you see that plane? That they may have saw another plane that was taking off and not the one that was near them or above them. President Donald Trump was briefed and on this situation. He has been fully briefed on this situation situation. And he posted to Truth Social saying the airplane was on a perfect and routine line of approach to the airport. The helicopter was going straight at the airplane for an extended period of time. It was a clear night. The lights on, the plane were blazing. Why didn't the helicopter go up or down or turn? Why didn't the control tower tell the helicopter to do what to do instead of asking if they saw the plane? This is a situation that this is a bad situation that looks like it should have been prevented. Not good. And
do they know if the people in the Blackhawk perished too, or they don't know?
We don't know.
They don't know
anything yet. But I will tell you this: everybody got a resource in DC. Everybody knows somebody that knows somebody. So I do have a friend who actually flies Black Hawk helicopters, and I'm just, of course, I reached out to be like, "Hey, you okay over there?" And basically, his explanation was that. He wished he was flying, for one, because he's saying that this is weird that it happened, and there are protocols in place. So the only thing that he could imagine is that the helicopter was being stored at Bolin Air Force Base, which is very close to Reagan Airport, and that's pretty much the perspective that he provided me. So
they don't have radars, because that's the first thing I would think. Like, those military helicopters would have all types of radar and all types of devices to make sure that there's nothing in their vicinity. You know what I mean?
They do have radar, but unfortunately the visibility supposedly is not, the visibility is what it is. There are certain areas and certain blind spots, whether you're flying a plane or you're flying a Black Hawk. At least this is the information that I've gathered over the last few hours regarding this situation. So flights in the area. Flights in the area have been diverted to other airports, and Reagan National will remain closed at least until 11 a.m. this morning.
Wow. All right. Well, thank you, Morgan. Appreciate it.
Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are The Breakfast Club. Let's get in some front page news. What's up, Morgan? Where we going now?
We're talking about this federal aid freeze that is still in full effect, despite there being a rescindance of the memo. Anyways, good morning, y'all. So the White House says President Trump's executive order freezing federal aid funding remains in full effect. This comes after earlier yesterday, the White House rescinded the memo issued about the freeze. In a post on X, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said it's simply a rescission of the OMB memo to end any confusion created by the court's injunction. The order was temporarily paused by a federal judge on Tuesday. In a memo, the Office of Management and Budget said the order that paused all activities connected to the disbursement of federal financial assistance has been rescinded. Trump spoke about that order at the White House on Wednesday. Let's hear those comments from him.
There was a short-term pause or funding freeze on certain discretionary spending payments, such as government grants, only for us to quickly look at the scams, dishonesty, waste, and abuse that's taken place in our government for too long. Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid have not been affected by any action we're taking in any way, shape, or form. We are merely looking at parts of the big bureaucracy where there has been tremendous waste and fraud and abuse.
So New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, she responded to the freeze with President Trump's federal funding freeze on federal grants and loans. Now, the senator says that several stakeholders are at risk of disrupted services if funding is lost, which includes money for education, along with local police and fire departments. Let's hear from New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand.
They literally do not have the authority to do this. This is against the Constitution. It is unconstitutional and it is illegal. It is a massive power grab, and we're going to fight back on behalf of our constituents, who are the ones who are going to suffer. Literally a takeover of an entire arm of the federal government. It is not Trump's responsibility to allocate and decide where money is spent. That is Congress's sole purview. They do not have the power of the purse. Congress does.
I just want y'all to know that Trump's whole presidency is going to be a constitutional crisis, and this freeze happened without vetting by key officials in the White House. He's never going to go through the proper checks and balances, ever. And it's going to come a point where the Constitution, and I said this yesterday when Ashley was here, the Constitution is going to mean as much as this paper that I'm holding in my hand.
All right, well, moving on, President Trump's pick to lead the Department of Health and Human Services. He was on Capitol Hill this week for confirmation hearings. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., he's pushing back against claims that he wants to ban certain foods as well as vaccines. He says he isn't anti-vaccine, he's pro-safety. Kennedy was interrupted at least twice by protesters as he spoke and received criticism from Democrats and others on his views on vaccines. He spoke about President Trump's love for McDonald's. Let's hear more from RFK Jr. in his confirmation hearing.
I support the measles vaccine. I support the polio vaccine. If you like a McDonald's cheeseburger, a Diet Coke, which my boss loves, and you should be able to get them. If you want to eat Hostess Twinkies, you should be able to do that. But you should know what the impacts are.
I agree with that. It's just like, if you smoke cigarettes, they have the warnings on the cigarette box, right?
Yeah, but
it should be the same thing. Like, whatever you put into your body, you should know the risk. So at least you know the choice that you're making.
So RFK Jr. went on to say the United States has the worst health care than any other developed nation, yet we spend more on health care.
That's a fact.
He will also take part in a hearing with the Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee today. So, that's what's happening and that's what's going on. And switching gears, the Federal Reserve is leaving interest rates unchanged for now. It comes after Fed cut rates 3 times last year. It also marks the first policy decision during the President Trump's second term. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell, he spoke about the announcement, and here's what he had to say.
Right now, we don't see that, and we see things as in a really good place for policy and for the economy, and so we feel like we don't need to be in a hurry to make any adjustments. The public should be confident that we will continue to do our work as we always have, focusing on using our tools to achieve our goals and really keeping our heads down and doing our work.
Well, President Trump has said he would like to see the central bank lower rates. And bringing things home to New York, the Department of Justice is reportedly considering dropping the corruption case against New York City Mayor Eric Adams. There are multiple reports that DOJ discussions have been taking place on the future of a 5-count federal indictment faced by Adams. It accuses him of briberies, taking or accepting bribes from Turkey in the form of luxury travel. Adams has pled not guilty with a trial set for April 21st. President Trump has said the mayor is being treated unfairly, and he has considered him for a pardon. The mayor has spent time with Trump in recent weeks, both at Mar-a-Lago and at his inauguration. New York City Mayor Eric Adams and New York Senator Chuck Schumer, they're also reacting to the plane crash that happened in D.C. In a post on X, Mayor Adams says he has been briefed about the matter and offered his condolences for all those aboard American Airlines Flight 5342. Senator Minority Leader Chuck Schumer echoed his sentiments, saying his heart goes out to everyone who was impacted by the horrific incident, and he says he's praying for everyone on board, their families, and for the brave first responders as they continue to monitor the situation. Of course, I will continue to monitor that situation as it is close to home for me, and I will bring all of that news back to you guys. But,
Mayor Adams has been on partial leave. And that's been fueling all type of rumors. I was even told that he's considering resignation. I don't know if I necessarily believe that, but that's what they're throwing out there. Just because he's been on partial leave, when you go on partial leave, everybody starts, wondering why you're not there.
Yeah, they said he was possibly sick, but the way they throw away these throwing out these pardons is crazy to me. It's just like you get a pardon and you get a pardon and you get a pardon. It's just like nobody takes nothing serious anymore.
Do you think it's possible that Mayor Adams could be setting up for maybe working with the Trump administration?
I mean, he's already going to be working with the Trump administration. He's the mayor of the biggest city in America.
I mean, more along the cabinet side.
More on this cabinet? Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Oh, maybe. I mean, that could make sense. I mean, maybe, yeah, when you hear about, these things like, oh, he's resigning, you'd be like, well, why would he resign? Maybe if he's going to work with the Trump administration, that would make sense. That's another little conspiracy theory you just threw out there, Morgan.
That's right.
I like that one.
Gotta stay close to the man that might pardon you. Yep. So that's your front page news. I'm Morgan Wood. Follow me on social at Morgan Media. And for more news coverage, follow us at Black Information Network. Download the free iHeartRadio app and visit us at BINnews.com.
Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.